Back in January, when he went 0 for 7 with the jobs that were open at the time he was fired by the Patriots, the narrative that was being pushed by his media minions was he doesn't need control of a program, he just wants to be a coach. Now, this time around, as he was closing in on the North Carolina job, the narrative was he gets to go to a place and run the program. That's what he always wanted to do, and that was the fear in Atlanta when Arthur Blank wanted to hire him. Terry Fontenot, Rich McKay, anybody else employed by the football operation, you're either going to be irrelevant or fired because Bill's coming in and he's taking over. No matter what the title is, no matter what the contract says. I made this point back at the time. Okay, fine. There's a general manager who has full control over the draft, full control over the roster, full control over free agency, and Bill's just the coach. So they're having a pre-draft meeting, and they're talking about receiver from Kansas State. And the GM wants to draft him in round 4. And Bill rolls his eyes or makes a noise, an inaudible noise. I mean, you still have to deal with him. And then you could get into the dynamic where the GM brings in players that Bill just has no use for. Got no use for this guy. I don't want this guy. GM wants this friggin' guy. I don't want this friggin' guy. So you got to give him control. It's not going to work unless you give him control. Nobody was ready to give him control. Not at 73. Invest everything in your football operation in this one guy. And Chris,
Right.
Here's the other thing because, okay, that's the current mood in the NFL as it relates to Belichick. Things can change. All it takes is one owner who decides I really need Bill Belichick. I want to see what's in his contract as it relates to his path to the NFL. Nick Saban had in his Dolphins contract the ability to go back to college anytime he wanted. And after 2 years, he said, I'm out. What does Bill Belichick have as it relates to the possibility that he could bolt North Carolina whenever he wants? As soon as, in theory, next month, Ryan Grubb went to Alabama as the offensive coordinator and Kalen DeBoer. What happened? Oh, sorry, I got an offer to be the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Sorry, Alabama. It was a fun day, but now I got to go. I can't imagine he would do that. I think he's at least going to do a year. But what happens? What happens if he has this massive impact and there's this Belichick resurgence and everybody loves Bill and one of these owners decides, well, maybe I should bring this guy in even though he's going to be 74 next April. Maybe I should bring him in. What kind of language is in the contract that lets him walk away from that job if he wants to? I'm going to be curious about that. Again, no guarantee anybody's going to want him, but will he build in language that he can go back to the NFL?
Yeah, I'm interested in that too. Certainly. I am, right? The way it looks right now, the way he's talking about it, it sounds like it's, of course, something like he's extremely serious about. We know that. Bringing Michael Lombardi with him, I think, makes me feel like, hey, he's even more serious about the whole situation. The other I think I'll be looking for and other inklings, right, for how serious is what happens with his son and Steve Belichick, right? Does he stay there in Washington or does he come to North Carolina? If he comes to North Carolina, I'm going to go, Belichick's staying there because then there's a play here to maybe let Steven take over later. I don't know, right? But either way, that's certainly another thing I would say if Steven Belichick ends up in North Carolina. I go, I don't think Bill is looking at this as a one-and-done type of thing. He's here for the long haul to try to make it work. And, yeah, and if that did happen, I would go, I think he would try to hand this off to his son when all said and done, when it's all over. So, I think we'll be able to figure out a few things by who he hires, where he goes over the next few weeks, and some of those type of situations to give us a little more info about, how long, how long he's going to stay here, how serious is about North Carolina.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.